Doing really well. It's the 20th of August 2025. I'm Gary Waterman, a former UK police constable, and I'm going to show some more evidence now in relation to the international government fraud that has been going on for a very long time, that has deliberately facilitated international conflicts, terrorism, and the most serious crimes against children, which seems to be a massive, huge part in all of this, which explains why I am finding the connections through the Companies House records are predominantly through film companies, and I suspect they are being used to record those crimes against the children. This ties in now to the Pizzagate scandal from 2016, which appears to have triggered an expedited plan leading up to the interventions that we were all forced to have in 2019, 2020, as they realised that the criminal system was starting to be exposed, with Gordon Bowden's exposure on the non-verification of Companies House and the Pizzagate scandal from 2016 before that. And then, of course, as I've come along, I've then exposed the forgery within the system, and also making the connections towards those things, or with those things. So we're going to look at some more evidence now leading up to some absolutely critical evidence tying into Madeleine McCann, the royal family, the torture of children, okay, and even children being unalived on quite a huge scale, I think, in relation to this. But we're just going to go back and review a little bit of the Richard Knighton evidence. So this is my evidential research document, which is now circulating the world, hopefully, if everyone's sharing it. And it proves everything that I'm saying within the document, and it can be verified as well within that document. So in the last video, actually the one before, because they've just removed my last video, which was highlighting concerns for the potential real heir to the throne, Vanessa Emery. And at the moment, all of the evidence supports that what Vanessa is saying is true. So that video has been taken. But the last one before that, we were looking at Richard Knighton. And there's an article in here. I'm just going to show you this again. And it says, Royal Air Force Chief avoids Gaza questions as Israel counterpart visits UK. Sir Rich Knighton refused to talk to declassified about his support for Israel's Air Force as their commander landed in England. And this was on the 21st of July 2025. And there's a reason I'm showing you this, because there is the overwhelming evidence suggests that the conclusive plan is a falsified biblical prophetic event, potentially even a falsified tribulation period in all of this. And I know that's quite hard to understand and believe, but we have religious establishments linked into this international government fraud, including the Vatican, the Church of England, the Flemings, who are linked to church networks, etc. So we have to consider that there is a conclusive spiritual agenda in all of this, and I believe that is tying in with the collider technology and how that can be used to falsify biblical prophecies. So looking at the Companies House record for Richard Knighton, I'm just going to try and remember where I am here. Here we go. So these are the Companies House records, and you can go and verify all of this. The evidence doesn't get much better than this. And as you can see, he's a director or former director for 3 companies. And this one, the UK Armed Forces Winter Sports Association, you can see at the bottom there, he resigned in October 2019. Well, that is 2 months before the outbreak in Wuhan, which is all related to this. If we go into this company and into the people record, we have, I think it's this one. Here we go. Richard Haldenby. And in there, we've got 5 companies, sorry. And one of those is the Pegasus Award CIC. Now, Pegasus makes connections through the research to Israel, okay, and to the intelligence agencies. And here's Wikipedia for Pegasus spyware. And it says Pegasus spyware is spyware, developed by the Israeli cyber arms company NSO Group that is designed to be covertly and remotely installed on mobile phones running iOS and Android. While NSO Group's markets Pegasus as a product for fighting crime and terrorism, governments around the world have routinely used the spyware to surveil journalists, lawyers, political dissidents, and human rights activists. Now, this is how government are linked into these organisations. This includes BT Openreach. This includes mobile phone companies. And it also includes the police, not only the police, but the government organisations that use government-issue radios, so all emergency workers. Now, this gives them the ability to infiltrate those devices, not only with spyware, but potentially use the technology within those devices to affect humanity. And there's so much evidence now to suggest that they can use frequencies and things like that to affect people psychologically. Now, this is all criminal, what they're doing. Not only is it criminal, of course, it's immoral. And what they've been doing is deceiving all of humanity. And this is religious establishments, okay, involved in this, which means it goes completely against the creator, because it is going against moral conscience that was given to us by the creator. So whichever way you look at this, even if they believe they're trying to come to some sort of good conclusion, they're actually going against the creator with a criminal fraudulent system that is deliberately exploiting, victimizing and causing suffering humanity. So, you know, hopefully this all makes sense. So we've got this connection to Pegasus, to the proposed head of the military coming in September, and there's no coincidence that they are centralising everything to certain key individuals as the exposure continues. So going back to the document, I've already shown a lot of the connections to immigration companies via Richard Knighton into the fraud. And we're going to look at UKSA now. And within the UK Armed Forces Winter Sports Association, which Richard Knighton was a director for, we have 2 entries for the same person. And this is another element of the criminal network they have in place. So you can see here you've got one Richard Stokes, and here's a Captain Richard Stokes. This is deliberate duplication, okay, because Companies House has added this knowing full well, you can see there's already a name there. It should be going under one record. So within this record, there's only one company. You can see the same name when you go into it, Richard Stokes. The captain isn't in there. And then when you go into this record, first of all, notice you've got the Hampshire address. Well, Hampshire is where Deborah Fleming was the chief executive for the NHS, who initiated my removal from Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited for refusing to file forged bank documents and commit a very serious crime. This is somebody connected to a church network, everybody. Okay, so if we go into Richard Stokes, you can see there's 6 company records for this person. And in here we have UKSA Trading Limited. Now the research suggests this is a water sports company, and you can see the address is the Isle of Wight. Well, Deborah Fleming was the chief executive of the NHS for Hampshire, Isle of Wight and Dorset. And Isle of Wight is very, very important in all of this for various reasons. But the first telecommunication mast in the world, according to the research, was put up on the Isle of Wight in 1898, I believe, and that involved Marconi, and Marconi is directly involved in the Vatican because he was involved in the radio station within the Vatican. And the radio communication system is very important in all of this because it appears as though that's what they've been using as the MK Ultra control over humanity. And who else was involved heavily in radio? That's right, Jimmy Savile. And Jimmy Savile is connected to the Flemings via the research, and they actually lived in the same village in Glencoe. You had some of the Fleming family, I can't remember which one. Glencoe's a very remote location in Scotland, and Jimmy Savile also lived there, so they would 100% have known each other, I suspect, because I've been there, there's hardly any houses, and it's no coincidence that I believe last year they demolished Jimmy Savile's property there, even though he died supposedly in 2011. So UKSA Trading Limited on the Isle of Wight. And in the People record, we have... Oh, actually, I think it's a criminal record. Bear with me. It's the filing history. Incorporation document. And on this document, we should see that it is a criminal organisation, I believe. Yeah, there we go. So London Law Agency in the middle there on page 3 of the document. If you go and search the London Law Agency, you'll see they have forged the register for that company. So on the overview, it says the London Law Agency. It was actually London Law Agency in brackets, the, okay, which means they're not even using a legal name here at all anyway, because that doesn't look like it's been registered. But with that record, London Law Agency, there's no other name mentioned on the overview. When you go into the filing history, like I just have on this company, look at the incorporation document, you'll see that Ganvalon Motors is there. Well, that's never been registered, which means the company is criminal. And because that company is criminal and fraudulent, wherever that company is then used on any other documents, they also become an unlawful and criminal company, because every element of the incorporation documents have to be legal and lawful. If any part of it is unlawful, then that company has not been registered legally and lawfully under their own laws. Okay, under their own laws. So it's a criminal organisation. And if we go into the People record, Helen Dixon, I believe it is. Catherine Helen Dixon. She's connected to various companies, 16, and you can see lots of legal companies, arbitration. You can see Independent Dispute Resolution Services, the City Disputes Panel, Institute of Family Law Arbitrators Limited. Now remember, the children are a huge part of this, and it appears as though they are being tortured and unalived, being a key element in all of this, and they were trying to hide that. The King's Council Appointments Limited, just to support all of the other evidence that shows that the royal family are massively implicated in this. Even the Law Society Services Limited, you might have heard of the Law Society, very important organisation. So what this is doing is supporting that the whole legal system has actually been set up around this fraud. It has. It's all criminal, all illegal. They're using it to exploit, victimise, and it appears cause the unaliving of children in the background in all of this, and using your money to pay for all of the world's problems. This includes international drug trafficking, crimes against children, as I've mentioned, includes conflicts, it includes terrorism, and the evidence suggests that they're actually all involved in the terrorism. And what I mean by that is I've researched most of the key terrorist events, and they all go back to the same companies. So within this record, we have NSPCC Trading Limited, the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. And we're going to look at this company, and you can see it was incorporated in 1966. That is the year that the Church of Satan was founded. You can see these other company names at the bottom here. So it was incorporated in 1966, changed its name in 1982, and then changed its name on the 8th of February 2011. Now that is not long before the earthquake in Christchurch in New Zealand, which evidence is now tying to the collider technology, linking in with all of this. And remember what I've said about the falsified tribulation period? Well, that would include earthquakes, etc., and tsunamis. And David Icke came in 1991 claiming to act on behalf of the God's Head. Go and search David Icke, Terry Wogan interview. He came in and said that the world would be devastated by earthquakes and tsunamis. Well, David Icke links to the intelligence agencies, so that suggests he was positioned to tell the world that, and this then leads in with the earthquakes, etc., because the same year, in 1991, is when the collider in New York started to be built, and that collider was activated in the year 2000, the year before the World Trade Center disaster. And 1991 is also when the Gulf War ended, which is a key year. It's when Terminator 2 Judgment Day was released, and that's my favourite movie. And through James Cameron, he links to one of the main film companies in the fraud, which I suspect is being used for the unaliving of children, to record it. And this is why it ties in with the Pizzagate scandal so massively, and we're going to look at that evidence. And then in 1992, the year after, is when the electronic register for Companies House started, which is how they've expedited the funneling of the money through into the collider technology, which appears to be their ultimate agenda in all of this. So, yeah, there's lots of stuff I could say on that, but let's have a look at the incorporation document. And you'll see that this is a criminal organisation. Remember, this is the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. And it's not even legal. Everything is an inversion. Okay, whatever they've been leading you to believe is a good thing they're doing, it will not be. It will be to do with all sorts of crimes against humanity and children. And here you go, you can see at the bottom, Jordan and Sons Limited. That is the main company in the fraud, and it is a criminal, fraudulent organisation. And if you can go and check this, type in Vistra Limited or Jordan and Sons Limited, or Jordan's Limited, and you'll see its latest name is Vistra Limited. No other names other than Jordan's and Sons, Jordan's Limited is there. And when you look on the incorporation document, it's actually got a hidden name of Hammerplank Limited. So wherever this is used is also a criminal, fraudulent organisation. And this is the same company that started Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited, the company where I was removed from for refusing to file forged bank documents. Let's go back to the People record, and you can see they're also connected to Childline. This was set up with Esther Ranson, who has connections obviously to the BBC, to supposedly give children who are at risk the opportunity to make contact with the authorities to get help. Now this was created, you can see on the right there, incorporated in 1991. Remember what we've been talking about, 1991? It's a key year, okay, for the reasons I've explained, and some others. And if we look at Childline, we'll look on the filing history, we can see it's also a criminal organisation with, I believe, the London Law Agency on it, but let's just have a look at it. And as I've already explained, the London Law Agency is fraudulent. Oh, sorry, my apologies. It's not the London Law Agency. So on this one, it's Bates, Wells and Braithwaite. Now, this company is very important because it connects to the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. You go and search Royal Foundation, Prince and Princess of Wales, Company's House in Google. Go and look at that company. You can see it was incorporated in 2009 in September. Go and look at its incorporation document and you'll see this company, Bates, Wells and Braithwaite. Well, this company also connects to Keir Starmer via the Death Penalty Project Limited. That's no coincidence, that name. And when you look at its incorporation document and go to further down, you'll see Bates, Wells and Braithwaite. And Keir Starmer was part of that company and resigned at a key time in the COVID situation in, I think it was April 2020. Bates, Wells and Braithwaite also connects to the Madeline's Fund, Leaving No Stone Unturned company, relating to missing Madeleine McCann, which is also a criminal fraudulent organisation. And Sean Combs, or P. Diddy, as we know him as, also was a client of Bates, Wells and Braithwaite in his defence. And I've been mentioning the film companies. One of the main ones is Ingenious Film Partners 2. Well, that is on the incorporation document for the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. If you go and look at the incorporation document, go to page 40 and you will see a page of companies, and you'll see that Ingenious Film Partners 2 is on there. So we're just going to go back to the evidential research document. So this is just what I've explained to you as I've shown you the evidence. I've mentioned NSPCC and Bates, Wells and Braithwaite. I've also mentioned, forgive some of the spellings in this. So Childline was created in 1986 and involved Esther Ranson and was supposedly a way for vulnerable children to contact the authorities. Sadly, the overwhelming evidence, as I've said, suggests it was actually set up to entrap children as part of the sinister agenda. And then there's Wikipedia for Esther Ranson. And here she is. These people need to be fully exposed for what they're part of. Now, she may be being coercively controlled, potentially. I suspect many people are. Let's go back to... The previous research shows that on page 4 of the incorporation document of Childline shows Valerie Georgina Howarth with an address of Childline Royal Mail Building, appearing to make a further connection to Royal Mail's involvement in the crimes against humanity. And they are part of it. And when you look at the post office scandal, which involved Horizon and Fujitsu, that is all connected to this international fraud. I do not believe at all that was an IT issue, and that was the largest miscarriage of justice in UK history, according to Rishi Sunak. But Rishi Sunak is actually implicated through the fraud. It's all shown in the evidence. Charles Pegram connects Childline to Children's Promise, and a Reverend Martin Richard Field connects to this company, to Children's Promise, a slightly different, to Children's Promise Trading Limited, sorry. So you've got, let me read that again. Charles Dominic Pegram connects Childline to Children's Promise, and a Reverend Martin Richard Field connects that company to Children's Promise Trading Limited, that was incorporated in 1999 and is a criminal company and connecting to the same name throughout the fraud, Michael John Hope of the London Law Agency. So it's not just the same companies we're talking about. We're talking about the same names being used on those incorporation documents. This proves the centralised criminal system that we are now living under. And they've done that because they control the currency producer, De La Rue. They control interest rates. They control taxation. So we know this isn't about materialism to the individuals behind the whole evil in the system, because they can just print money. So this is about a spiritual conclusion in all of this, but it appears as though they've gone about it in a way which is completely against the Creator, and therefore it is evil, I believe. And of course, you've got the suffering of children, so of course it's evil. Anyone in their right mind would know that is the case. John Martin Graham connects Children's Promise Trading Limited to Asthma Enterprises Limited, that was incorporated in 1989. That's the same year that the World Wide Web was created for CERN, and we're going to be looking at some very important evidence in relation to the World Wide Web a little bit later and how this links into everything that's going on. The same year that the World Wide Web was created for CERN, it is a criminal company with the same companies as Export Manor Freehold Limited on its incorporation document. This supports other evidence that the health service or services have actually been used to target humanity and particularly children through the medication side of things. Graham also connects to Children's Promise Trading Limited, connects that to Asthma UK, that was also incorporated in 1989 as National Asthma Campaign before its name was changed in July 2007, 2 months after Madeleine McCann went missing, which is all going to be linking into this. You'll see how important Madeleine McCann is as we look at this evidence. This is also a criminal company with Jordan & Sons Limited on its incorporation document. Frederick Simon Arden Arnson connects Childline to Click Sergeant Cancer Care for Children, which has BWB Secretarial Limited, making an immediate connection to Madeleine's fund, leaving no stone unturned Limited, because that is connected to that company. And also the London Law Agency is on its incorporation document, meaning it is a criminal company. Bates, Wells and Braithwaite is also shown on page 7. So what this tells us is that the cancer care for children is actually criminal, and cancer, I believe, has been used to target humanity as well. I think that was, and I've got loads of evidence to show this, cancer was deliberately introduced upon humanity, because we're dealing with pure evil here, everybody. Armson also connects Childline to the threat of directed energy by Phone Paid Services Authority Limited. It was also incorporated in 1989 and is a criminal company with the London Law Agency on its incorporation document. So the cell towers and the mobile communication devices are a very important element of their criminal network, and they're possibly using it to direct people with radiation or frequencies that can affect their mind, potentially affect them physically, as well as part of all of this against humanity, this sinister agenda. He also connects to Armson, this same director, okay, that we're looking at, also connects to Samaritans, that was incorporated in 1963 and has a forged register, meaning it is a criminal organisation, and it should never have been trading, okay, if it's not been registered lawfully, legally, giving the ability to infiltrate and silence people through them calling for help in times of desperation. So this could be, for example, somebody that is being directed by directed energy weapons, causing them to be depressed. They then call up for help. They say, I'm being directed by energy weapons. They give their details. That then gives the ability to unalive them and make it look like suicide. This, I suspect, is something that has been going on, and the whole system is set up to around this fraud, remember. So that means everything has been set up to be able to silence individuals that are trying to expose that criminal system. And this, of course, is where the terrorist incidents come in as well, that they appear to be linked to all of them, because that what they can do is say they're using intrusive surveillance to stop terrorism, but actually use it to target those that are trying to bring truth, transparency and integrity back to humanity in exposing this criminal system. And this explains why you've got Pegasus, as we said earlier, appearing to be used to target not people that they could be, but actually those that are trying to save humanity. The search for Esther Ranson, the people record for Farah & Co. LLP. You will notice the name Clinton somewhere here. There we go. Robert George Clinton. And if we go into their record, you will see 8 companies, including the Tony Blair Faith Foundation and the Cherry Blair Foundation for Women. On the evidential research document, searching the Tony Blair Foundation, Faith Foundation, you can see what we were looking at here in relation to Esther Ranson. And if we go to the next entry, you can see it in the red below here, leading up to it. This is coming in from the National Council for Civil Liberties, who is affiliated to the Paedophile Information Exchange, everybody. You can see that Leslie Thomas of the National Council for Civil Liberties links to a close film sales and leaseback company and Ingenious Film Partners 2 LLP, a company that links all areas of the fraud to Hollywood and is shown on page 40 of the incorporation document for the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. There are various links to football and rugby companies and various Israel-associated companies with links to companies made simple from other directors of the National Council for Civil Liberties. Joseph Tanya of National Council for Civil Liberties connects to the Cherry Blair Foundation for Women that was incorporated in April 2007, the month before Madeleine McCann went missing. It has Farah and Co. on its incorporation document, making an immediate connection to Ghislaine Maxwell's company and to the royal family via the research of Michelle Mone. The name Robert George Clinton is shown on the incorporation document. Robert George Clinton connects the company to Eclipse nominees. That has been seen throughout the fraud, and also links to the Tony Blair Faith Foundation. Donald Angus Cameron. So we now have Blair and Cameron names. Okay, and Samuel MacDonald, born 1971, are also shown on the Eclipse nominees people record, and MacDonald connects to Sherborne School in Dorset, where he was appointed in 2002, the year after the World Trade Center disaster, and resigned in September 2012, 2 months after CERN supposedly discovered the God particle. Sherborne is very important for its connections to the leader of Qatar, Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, King Charles, and to my wife's former employee, as shown elsewhere in the document. I suspect these names refer to Bill Clinton and David Cameron, and possibly members of the McDonald's restaurant family. Henry Boyd connects Eclipse nominees to Weymouth Avenue in Dorchester Limited, making connections to Dorset again, and its directors connect to Tesco, which is mentioned in the evidence regarding the attacks in Israel in 2023, as shown elsewhere in the document. So you can see how this all ties in now to the Pizzagate scandal. You're going to see more and more evidence that suggests that is what has triggered the corruption and the plans, their expedited plans over the last few years. Come back for the next part. Thank you.